Here are 10 tips to improve on control. Comment down below if you did or didn't know any of these. The first tip is one of the most important one, which is to play claw. Claw, if you didn't know, is a hand placement method which allows controller players to press more buttons easily. Here's how I hold my controller. Now you don't have to do this, but I highly recommend doing it as it allows controller players to match the speed of keyboard and mouse players in the aspect of pressing more buttons quicker. Tip number 2 is to play with the right peripherals. Generally, many controller players in Fortnite agree that the PS5 controller has the least amount of delay and the PS4 controller has the second least and the Xbox controller has the most delay. If you ignore the first tip, then you could buy some paddles, which are basically extra buttons on the back of your controller, which again makes it easier for you to play faster. Some things I use is control freaks and resistance rings. One tip that applies to both KBM and controller players is not gripping your controller too hard or mouse too hard. Gripping your controller too hard makes your hand fatigue much faster and leads to a worse aim. Hold the controller looser, and if you think your hands get too sweaty and the controller keeps slipping off, then you could buy these grips that prevent it. Another fact you probably didn't know is that in controller settings, the generic controller option has the least amount of delay, but many have noticed that it seems to worsen aim assist. In controller, crosshair placement is much more important than in keyboard and mouse. For example, whenever you are doing quick edits and approaching an opponent, it's really important to have proper crosshair placement where your crosshair is at the enemy in the last edit. Some keyboard and mouse players can deal with not having proper crosshair placement due to their quick sense and movement and their overall more control over their crosshair, which on the other hand controller players can't do. Another tip that is really important is practicing your resets, especially these type of weird resets in which you can't see most of the builds. Unlike KBM players, controller players don't have the ability to scroll wheel reset, which just makes resetting so much easier. Controller players must practice resetting and know where their crosshair must be to reset certain builds. One thing that the controller players have over KBM players is better movement, or rather 360-degree movement, which allows you to have better build fighting movement and better movement with tactical sprinting. This faster movement with tactical sprinting allows you to throw off your opponents and allows you to gain the edge over them. To determine your settings, it's fine if you copy other pros settings such as Reeth or Miro, but make sure not to keep switching every week, and keep in mind that pros play on the best of the best internet ping setup, which might not be the case for you, making it so their sense feels much different to yours even if you copy it 100%. Tip number 9 can be the most important one, which is to have your shotgun in your first slot and AR in the last one. KBM players have the option to quickly switch between weapons with ease. Controller players have to cycle between each weapon one by one. Keeping your shotgun in the first slot allows you to instantly switch to your shotgun from building by clicking the switch build button, which is circle for me. Make sure to click the switch build button and not pickaxe then shotgun. Keeping your AR in the last slot allows you to use your AR and instantly switch to your shotgun if needed. Tip number 10 might be beneficial in the long term, which is to keep your controller in an enclosed area when not playing, which makes it so your controller doesn't get as dirty, as most of the dead zone issues with the controller start off with the dirt and junk in it. Make sure to clean your controller as much as you can whenever you can. There are many videos online showing how to. If this video gave you any value, then you using code energy will truly help me out a ton. Please and thanks.